Welcome to Madison Square Garden. Welcome to the final game before the break. Rangers-Islanders Part 3. John and Dave with you from the Delta Club right behind us. In about 2 hours, the Rangers will take the ice to face the Islanders before the All-Star break commences. And, Davey, it's a night where the Rangers will have to prove that they are past what happened in the final 30 seconds the other night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. An excruciating loss when you consider how it happened. But I loved what David Quinn said. We can't let the last 30 seconds actually caused two losses.
Two losses, right. And listen, you stole, I wouldn't say it was a stolen one at the Coliseum. You know, you win one with 24 seconds to go and you lose one with 26 seconds to go. Right. And I think there are a couple things with that. It shows that the margin between winning and losing in this league often comes down to very, very slim stuff.
One mistake.
One mistake. Yeah. And really I had to go home and watch the third period again because I couldn't remember anything egregious other than the line change. The line change, Ryan Strome went off to his own admittance. Didn't quite take that peek behind him that you need to take to get a situation in. But when we started this whole roll, right, we were playing 5 games against 3 teams that all basically played the same. Yeah. And I thought if you looked at it as a best 3 out of 5 series, you're tied 2-2 with the fifth game at home against a team you've beaten twice. Yeah. So I think there are a couple things the Rangers, you know, everybody knows that this is it for 12 days. So you've got to pay attention, get this thing done, and move on. But again, it's a team to me that continues to grow, continues to eliminate all those egregious things, and it's just a result, and the margins are that thin.
Does it make it a little bit easier to overcome the sting of a loss the way they lost, given the fact that, by and large, they did play pretely well on Sunday? It's not like they got blown out or were outplayed.
No, hey, listen, I listened to John Tortorella today after his media scrum in Columbus, and he thought that both teams looked a little tentative. He thought both teams' goalies made a save when they had to make the save. Everything that we saw. And according to them, Columbus, he held the Rangers to 13 scoring chances. So it was one of those nights. And does it take a little of the sting out? I suppose so. But I like the fact when I hear more from guys like Zibanejad and guys like Kreider, the guys who become the spokesmen and the leaders of the room, you know what, that's a loss that's going to hurt. And we have to get over it, but we have to get over putting ourselves in that position to lose the hockey game with 26 seconds.
You keep checking the standings because, A, that's what we do, and B, the Rangers have referred to them in the context of continuing to play important games after the All-Star break. The Rangers have played really representative hockey in the last couple of weeks, yet they start the night 9 back. Before Sunday, David Quinn thought it was the most important game of the year given everything. Does this usurp that?
Sure. Yeah. Sure, every game, as it goes down, as we get closer, this is game 48, so there are 34 left. And once you swing past this break, I think every game, I think the difference is every game takes that greater importance, because I think this franchise, where they were vis-a-vis the rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it, I thought the best way to approach this is just take it game to game. Game to game. And I think by and large, so what crept in probably about game 25 or 30, we started hearing talk about playoffs, you know, being the motivating factor, playoffs. And I think they really have, to me, shown an ability now just to, we talked about it probably about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe, just eliminating those self-inflicted wounds. Yeah. You know, those things that are going to hurt you. We saw it the other night. A couple of pucks put in the wrong spot that cost, but they're becoming fewer and far between.
You've heard the phrase past is prologue. It doesn't always work that way, but oftentimes it does. In the situation of the Rangers playing the Islanders with Alex Georgiev in net, past has been prologue. He's 4-1 in his career, .955 save percentage. It's been absurd. Yeah. Beyond Alex Georgiev, why have the Rangers succeeded against this Islander team?
Well, you know, you can make the case, perhaps, that the structure of the teams, one team doesn't have to work quite as hard to score, and that would be the presently constructed Rangers. And another team, they're going to struggle to score. And if you can keep Barzal being a minimal impact, there's not a lot that's going to threaten you offensively. And maybe that's it. And at the end of the day, if your goaltender, if the numbers add up, so your goaltenders by and large have outplayed their goaltenders.
Right.
And so it's not any different. The thing it takes on here is because it's such an intense rivalry, right? And so I just think that, again, in the locker room after his win on Long Island, I asked him if Georgiev, whether he was aware. He was certainly aware of his success, but he's... again, he's going to take it. He's going to get the ball again tonight and go from there.
And Thomas Greiss gets the ball for the Islanders. Semyon Varlamov in the first two meetings. Greiss comes off the 8-round shootout loss to the Hurricanes on Saturday. You got to figure we're sitting here because we're Ranger-centric, talking about the importance of the game. How about the Islanders, who now are only 3 ahead of the cut line in the Eastern Conference playoff race?
Well, they went on that wonderful run at the start of the season, and that put points in the bank. And again, I think the longer the season goes, your warts become a little more exposed, your weaknesses become a little more exposed, and your strengths become more evident. And I think the strengths to the Islanders continue to be that ability to kind of play that structured game, right? Well, why? They have to play that structured game because it's difficult for them to score. So it'll be interesting to see if there's a way they can address that moving forward. You know what? That's their issue.
That is their issue.
That's not ours.
Angry. We've got Amanda P., who's anything but angry, standing by for questions. Send them in, whatever platform you're watching. We will answer them. Amanda has one.
So Thomas on Facebook wants to know mentally how important is it for the Rangers to win this game before the long layoff?
Are you a believer in that, Davey? The mental aspect of carrying a game through a break, or by the time they get to the beach tomorrow, wherever that beach is in whatever country they're in, what happens tonight doesn't matter?
I think it matters. I mean, it leaves a bad taste, right? Like we said at the onset of our conversation, that's not in the background. That's there. Everybody's aware. There's the last game before a 12-day break, an extensive time off. Guys are going to various spots. I know a bunch of the young guys are heading down to Florida. Actually, Brady Shea's going to stay in town. So there's different, and Capo Caco's going back to Finland, which will be good for him.
Sure will.
So I think, if you're accustomed to winning, it doesn't bother you because and if you don't know what it takes yet to win, maybe it doesn't bother you too. So there's probably somewhere in the middle where it should linger long enough to know that when you get back, that's how you finished. If you're only as good as your last game, then you weren't very good.
Yeah. Does it make it easier to leave everything out of the tank and on the ice tonight, knowing you're not going to play for another 10 days?
I would hope so. Yeah, it would certainly make sense, wouldn't it? I mean,
sometimes athletes' mentalities don't make sense.
Yeah,
but I think in that regard, they're human beings first.
Yeah.
So you would think it would make sense.
Yeah, you would hope. I guess. And listen, we're a camera removed from being on the other side. Asking questions to people. We want the team to do well. And all those good things. So I guess all those things that you hope happens to give them the best chance. Well, listen, I buy into that. And I guess the result will tell.
You're going to focus in the pregame show with me on Matt Barzal and the fact that the Rangers have done a good job. I mean, before this season, he was bizarrely good against the Rangers. He has not been productive in his first 2 games, and it follows a trend for him of 1 goal in 13. Yeah. What have the Rangers done to minimize his effectiveness?
I think, and it's only not extensively studied the film. I mean, I've watched it, but from the ice level, I think what they've done particularly well is deny him access to the 4 other guys on the ice.
Interesting.
And that is give him his space, but make sure. First of all, you got to defend him one-on-one. So he came in here after the break 2 years ago and lit it up. He scored 5 points, and that was really one of the telling games that the worm was turning for the franchise. And because there was no pushback, and he was a kid, and all those things. So I think what they've done now is, first of all, you got to defend him one-on-one, but make him, he likes to turn out, right? He likes to enter the offensive zone if he's defended right and he spins out. He's got wonderful edges, a wonderful way of moving his feet, and he looks for the people away from the puck carrier. So I think it's imperative that those seam passes and things like that, sticks are in the right position, body's in the right position.
Another question, Amanda?
This one's on YouTube.
All right.
Santo has sent this twice, and he's getting angry at me that I haven't asked him.
Wow. Santo pulling a Dave
Yeah,
here?
well, he's
Settle down.
Are the Rangers defensemen maybe taking too many offensive chances? And do you think maybe does it hurt the game that they're focusing a little bit too much on offense?
I have heard that from some Ranger fans who are proud of the fact that the Rangers lead the NHL in both goals and points, but does it at times come at the expense of defense? Your feeling?
I'm not 100% sold that one leads to the other. The thing is when they're a young group, the offensive guys, both D'Angelo, he's not so young, and Fox. I think once there's more savvy in their game, they'll recognize chances. I really don't think that's an issue. I think they have to defend as five. So it's not so much specific to any group. I think it's imperative that they defend as five, because that'll protect both the forwards and the defensemen. So I really don't
see. I agree with you, because if you look, since the Vancouver game out in Western Canada, which they lost by 2-1, St. Louis, they gave up 5, but I mean they have played well defensively, and I don't see a lot of breakdowns.
And I know we talked about the numbers, the blowouts. The difference in the game was the penalty kill.
Yeah.
When you went into Tampa and they scored 5 or 6 or 5 on the power play.
Yep.
So I think you can make the case on the blowouts. A lot of that difference was the penalty kill.
Yeah. Edmonton, when they were down 6-0, 3 power play goals.
Power play goals. So I think 5-on-5. And the way the game is defended now, you can defend with possession.
Yep.
And we have good, Brady Shea has been really good. And that's been a big difference too. So you get him that can possess the puck and skate with it. You get Fox, who's brilliantly bright, and Tony being Tony. So you defend with possession.
I don't think it's been a problem.
No.
When you size up tonight and the lineup, we saw Brendan Lemieux return to the Rangers, get his sea legs a little bit after
The great Kenny Albert, the great Chris Ebert, by the way. Me and my bodyguard.
How do you spell great in his case? Our producer and our radio reporter, play-by-play extraordinaire.
Anyway, I interrupted.
So, no, that's okay. When Brendan Lemieux obviously was getting his sea legs about him, played mostly fourth line the other night, against a team like this, do you expect to see him in the same role, or does he take on maybe a more important role against a team like that?
Well, I know yesterday he skated in the regular rotation with Kreider and Zibanejad. And now Panarin was not at practice yesterday.
But will play tonight.
So Bushnevich slid in there. And then they had Di Giuseppe skating in a regular rotation on that third group. So when I looked at that right away, I'm like, that might be it for Pavel. But we'll see. I think, the key with him, are you going to be able to use his strength and his willingness to kind of bang bodies? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And but he has to, make sure it's managed. So I think what I saw at practice told me that. But
and honestly, if it goes fourth line versus fourth line, you want him on the ice with Matt Martin.
What he wouldn't, if he's in the lineup, it'll depend if he goes back, because the coach also said after practice yesterday he didn't think Bush was very good against Columbus, but thought he was really good on the island. We'll see.
And has given him a little bit of a break because Bushnavis has had the flu for a little bit here too. Amanda's got another.
Braden on Facebook.
Not angry, right?
No, I
Good.
don't think.
Excellent.
Santo replied. He says he's not
Well, tell him thank you.
Braden wants to know, should Kakko get a chance with the top 2 lines again?
Boy, oh boy. What did David Quinn call it earlier this year? A meritocracy. You get what you deserve. 1 goal in 26. Is it cause and effect that he's not playing the top 2 lines, or is he not yet ready to be a top 6
He's in
player?
the exact spot he should be in, and that's okay. That's totally okay because the top 6 are playing pretty well, first of all. Now, again, if it's Buchnevich that he can come in, I just think you leave him there. He gets in the 3rd rotation. A lot of times it's not the top defenders he's playing against. Heedle's been tremendous. Howden's been really good. And you just put him on the wing, let him play there. And, you know, unlike Jack Hughes, the Devils, the position's different, right? So the center ice, when he's in the middle of the ice, both of them probably aren't ready to play the NHL. Right? But the fact that Kako can play on the wing hides him a little bit, and he can learn. He can learn slowly. I think he's in the perfect spot.
I'm going to let you do a commercial for yourself, because I know you sat down with Brendan Smith recently.
Yeah.
And it was a very revealing and eye-opening interview, right?
Well, I tell you, folks, he did a series of interviews yesterday, and the last one was with Brendan. And, you know, you get to know a guy a little bit, and then we got right into that transition in his life. You know, basically, big contract, condition is an issue, ends up in the minor leagues, ends up, you know, comes back. It is a really, you will have a much greater appreciation for an athlete who was a first-round pick and now is more than willing to accept any role that's given to him and has taken the responsibility of preparing right. And I know you're when you're on the ice, he's the most vocal guy on the bench. He's one of the more supportive guys. He does whatever it takes. He draws penalties. It was a really, he was really cool.
He's a thoughtful guy,
very
too.
Thoughtful.
And at times, I'm glad you got it out of him, can wear his heart on his sleeve.
Sure,
and
no
it
question.
probably is a heck of a story to chronicle when you go through it, to go from being a first-round pick, establishing yourself in the NHL, signing a huge contract, coming over, playing really well, then all of a sudden finding yourself in the minor leagues buried. For lack of a better word, and now being back playing a different position.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And I just, lots of times when a person gets whacked, it's like, all right, now what do you do?
Yeah.
All right. And you're going to man up, or, you know, and you know, on a relative basis, an athlete takes an immense amount of pride, and by and large is bulletproof for most of their life. And it's not a sickness, it's not a death, it's not anything like that. But on a relative basis, it has that impact when you're told at a point, at whatever he was 27. You know what, you're not good enough anymore. So it's a tremendous story.
Good. I can't wait for it. It will air sometime after the All-Star break on MSG. Look out for it. As Dave said, he did sit-down interviews with a bunch of Rangers, really kind of get behind the scenes of their lives, get behind the scenes of what it's like not only to be a New York Ranger player, but, you know, coming from different parts of the world, coming to live in New York. They're great interviews. They'll air in the second half of the season. As for tonight, 6:30 pregame on MSG, who will you be talking to on the bench?
The bench with Brady Shea.
Good.
And pregame we'll talk about Greg McKegg, who is a guy nobody's ever talked about.
Yeah.
But he's come, same sort of thing. He's one of those guys you need. Whatever he's asked to do, he does it. He does it with an aggressive, gung-ho nature. And we're going to take a look at Barzell.
Yeah, and you'll have some video on how the Rangers have succeeded against them. Sam and Joe with the call at 7 o'clock. Dave's between the benches. I'll do pregame, intermissions, and postgame with Steve Valiquette. And we'll see you again on Bleeding Blue Shirts a week from Friday. Rangers and Red Wings first of a back-to-back after the All-Star break. So until then, enjoy tonight's game, enjoy the break, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thanks, guys.